first of all, the good thing is that we just have you here on the podcast because you had this crazy situation on Saturday, I believe, this crazy fan encounter in Izmir. Can you just get us through what had happened and what's going on with that crazy fan who was, tried to assault you with his knife in his hand?
Yeah, so basically, I was just going to the mall, like normal, with my wife and my son, to get something to eat. And on a Saturday, the mall is extremely packed. It's a lot of traffic, and the way the parking garage is set up, it's one way. So there's maybe 3 or 4 cars behind me, and there's a woman who is getting ready to leave. She has a stroller and a baby, and so anybody who has a family, they understand that when you have to pack up the stroller in the trunk, you have to put your baby in the car seat. It could take you 30 seconds to maybe 1 minute. So meanwhile, I'm sitting there waiting, and then some guy randomly, within maybe 15 seconds of waiting, starts banging on my door. And so I turn and I look, and he's speaking in Turkish, and you could tell he's extremely upset because I'm waiting for the lady. But this is normal. Like, you wait for a parking spot, you can wait 30 seconds, have some patience. And, he's not understanding. I think there's a language barrier. So then I'm just pointing to the car so that he sees I'm waiting for her. Then I will go, after continue to go back and forth. He's not understanding. And so, I get out the car and I tell him, look, just go to your car. It's going to take me, 20 seconds. Go to your car. I'm not about to argue with you. He's still going back and forth. So I just get back in my car, whatever, ignore him. I'm not going to take my energy there. I got my son here, my wife here. You're not going to see that side of me. Like, it's something small, Errick, let it go. So then the lady leaves and I pull into the parking spot. Mind you, this probably has taken 45 seconds, so not long at all. And now I'm thinking everything's okay. So I get out the car to get my son out. And when I go to get him, I see the guy parked behind me, but he's not parked. He's basically blocking traffic. And so now, instead of there being 5 or 6 cars, now there's more like, 10 to 12 cars. And he gets out and he's reaching in his door. And I'm looking and I understand, like, in America, if somebody's reaching in the door, I understand that this is probably gun. But in Europe, I know that the gun laws, everything is different. So, like, I'm not as worried. I'm not as, like, scared, because I'm like, okay, the worst he's going to have is a weapon, but it's not a gun. And he finally grabs it and he has it by his leg and he's holding it, trying to hide it on his thigh, like holding his arm straight down. And my wife sees it immediately. She says, Errick, he has a knife. And I tell her to get behind the car. He comes, he approaches me with the knife, and he's probably 2 feet away from me. And we're just staring at each other, eye contact. And, I'm waiting for him to step over this boundary, because if he steps over this boundary, I'm following with the punches immediately, anything to protect myself and my family. And he understood. I think he didn't want to take a punch, because in order, he would have had to take one to get to me, because he would have had to step over this. And this was, probably not what he wanted to do. And when he saw that I was not scared, and, in that moment, you're in a fight or flight, your instincts take over. You may feel like you might be scared or something, but when it comes to your wife and your children, trust me, you will not be scared. You will be clear-headed, and you will find a way to get through the situation. And eventually, after 10 seconds of us staring at each other, he backs up. And he's still talking, and I just tell him to get out of here, go. And luckily, there was 3 or 4 good Turkish Samaritans. They ran up, they grabbed him, and they grabbed him by the forearms and the wrist, because he had a weapon. And then they restrained him, and they was pushing him to get in the car, telling him to go.